This is part 4 of a set of videos involving David Cawston and his links to the Essex Boys and people he knew who were linked to the murders. If you are interested in this case, you can join my Facebook group called The Real Essex Boys Murder Group. So David, in part 3 we covered the trial when you were all found guilty and you were all sent to prison, and in there you got to know a man called Michael Donnelly, who was connected to the Essex Boys case, as Darren Nichols knew him through Michael Steele. Now, Darren Nichols was passing on information to his police handler, DC Bird, from the Essex Police about Michael Donnelly. So, whilst you were in prison, you met people connected to the drugs trade. What I first want to do in this video is discuss how you and the gang members from the Group 4 security robbery appealed to the High Courts in London and what happened next.
Yeah, hi. Well, what it is, let's go back. I was in Wayland. Obviously, I was with Mick and a lot of other people. As you say, I learned a lot about drugs business, but we're covering the drugs in the next session, part 5. What it is, I didn't even realise there was an appeal. Now, from the time that we got split up and taken back to Chelmsford, we was all on the same week, but then I got ghosted out first to Wayland in Norfolk. The others, like I say, went to various other jails, Cat B jails, the Isle of Wight, and one went to Winston Green up in Birmingham, John Aiken did. So from that day, you're going back, 91, the end of 91, I've never seen or spoken with anyone. Right, now obviously I went to Wayland, I believe at the period that they opened my door and said, I'm free to go, pending appeal. I think I'd served about 2 years, 7 months. Now, I found out after, not through the robbers, but through my legal team, that I was the last out. They had got out some months prior to me. So all that I knew, my head was, obviously, from going to jail, that was it. I thought I was going to serve 4 years out of my 6-year sentence, because back then you obviously do 2/3 of your sentence. I got 6 years, meaning that I'd have to serve 4, and they obviously got 15 years each, which means they would have to serve 10. So, that's it. I wasn't expecting to go anywhere. What it was, at the end of the time I got released, I was working outside the jail anyway, because I'd obviously had a home leave. After 2 years, 1/3 of your sentence, you're allowed a home leave where you can come home for a weekend and all that sort of stuff and then go back. If you do that, then you can have another one in 6 months' time. And it works like that. And eventually you hopefully will get a decap for the last 12 months or so. That was the plan with me anyway. But like I say, I was sitting in Wayland jail. I mean, it was a great place to be. You had a lot of people in there who I was close to and who I became good friends with, and we all linked up after. I used it as a training camp. I got steroids smuggled in with Mick Donnelly's drugs, so I was on that most of the day at the gym, and it felt good. So they opened up my door one day and just said, literally, pack your bags, you're going. I said, what do you mean, going where? Am I getting ghosted out? He said, no, you're being released pending appeal of your conviction. So that was it. So literally, the door opened and I'm gone out the gate. Got picked up by my girlfriend and I went back to Ipswich. What it was, obviously, a few months later, I remember going with her, attending the High Court in London and standing up there in front of the judges, and basically it was just a formality because they'd already received their appeals. I obviously had to follow suit because I'm part of the team, if you like. We come as a team. You can't release them and not release me. One goes, we all go. So it was like that. Now, what it was, up the road after this, they sued for false imprisonment and wrongful conviction, if you like, and got paid out each over 100 grand.
Wow.
So, not only did they get the robbery money, apparently, they also got, huge amounts of compensation. I never got any. I tried later on up the road and they said my charge was different to them and I couldn't get it, which to me didn't seem right. I never pushed it because, like you say, I was involved in the drugs. We'll get into that in part 5. So basically, they all got over 100 grand each. But from that point, going back to Chelmsford, well before I went to Wayland, I haven't seen or spoken to any of the others to this day. I tried to reach out to John Aiken on Facebook. He is on there, it's definitely him, but nothing. I tried to contact some of his relatives on there, but again, nothing. So I don't know where that happened. Maybe he's listening to this, or maybe he doesn't know anything about it. Maybe he doesn't know anything about this, because I've no idea. Through my friend Mick Kelly, who you know on the groups, and the Liquid Bullet Productions interview recently.
Yeah.
I speak with him. He's in contact with Barclay. He can get hold of him. And obviously he was very close to Dave Redman, but Dave Redman's dead.
Yeah.
The gunman, Mr. T, if you like.
Yeah.
Obviously, I see him once after the job was done, and that was it. But I think Michael can get hold of him if needed. But I don't need to speak to him.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and that's that. We haven't fallen out, but there's just no need to have contact. It worked like that. I went my way, they sort of went theirs.
Yeah.
So that was it. So I got my appeal. Then I come back out, and I moved back obviously to the house that I was in before I got nicked.
Yeah.
28 Broadmeadow in Ipswich. And then a lot of my friends at the time who moved up there was, started dealing the drugs. And then I went back to Hollywood's.
Yeah, David, just before we move on to Hollywood's, can I ask you about the Scotland Yard's Anti-Corruption Unit visiting you?
Yeah, what it was. Now, I believe I've been out about 5 months. Now, as I explained to you in the other parts, basically we all got fitted up blatantly. It was a proper fit up. They obviously knew that we'd done it. They couldn't convict us on the evidence that they had, so they fabricated it all, which, ain't the right way to do things, is it? If you're that side of the law, in my book, you've got to stay that side, but they don't. That mob were bang in the middle, and really, then they're more of a criminal than I am, in my book.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. They're taking a piss. And obviously, they're well known for it. So I had a team come down from Scotland Yard, like an internal affairs anti-corruption unit, and they called me in for an interview at Ipswich Police Station. And I remember going down there, and basically I sat across from them. I think it was 2 of them, and at least 2 of them. And I sat in the interview room, and I basically said what I've told the followers, about the statement and all this sort of stuff of what happened to me. That's all they were interested in. Obviously, they must have gone and interviewed the others. I don't know. Like I say, I've never spoken to them since, but they must have done. But, they were only interested in what the flying squad did to me, and obviously that involved the false statement, saying I'd signed it and all the rest of it. Obviously that got lost at the trial. They couldn't produce it, because obviously we could have pulled that to bits, and that's that. But I never heard no more about it. In fact, I have put in a freedom of information request, as you're well aware, because you've seen the emails.
That's right, yeah.
Waiting some months now, and that is one of the questions that we have asked, information on the anti-corruption investigation.
So, David, you get your old job back at Hollywood's in Ipswich as Lee Chapman was the head doorman there. Anthony Tucker had the security for Hollywood's in Ipswich as well as Romford. So what happened when he turned up?
Well, what it was, I went back to Hollywood's after a while. My girlfriend didn't want me to go back there, so we sort of split up because she wanted me to go straight and all that. And I'm afraid it just wasn't me, I come out of jail and I had new ideas and plans, and obviously going straight wasn't certainly one of them. So once she'd gone, then I went back and started working at Hollywood's again. Now, Tucker obviously was running the doors, but he was never up Ipswich. He was always in the London clubs. He had obviously Romford and other clubs. And, so I went back working for my mate, Lee Chapman. And I see Tucker one night. It was on the dance floor. It was like a house night. I was sort of minding the dance floor, and I just felt something, like a sixth sense that you get of someone standing behind me or watching me. And I turned around, he was about, a few metres away, 4 metres away, something like that. And he just looked at me, and then that's it, he was gone. And by the time that I'd left that station and it was my turn to go to the front door, he'd gone. And I never see him again. Now, I don't know what the deal was. Obviously, I mean, I can't remember. It was so long ago. I can't remember whether Lee said, I'm having Dave back, or whether he never told him. Now, we used to get wages. I can't remember whether it only had our first name on the packet, like Dave or Dave C. It certainly never had our full names, because obviously we was getting cash in hand. It was sort of under the radar, you know.
Yeah, so David, do you think Lee Chapman gave you your old job back in at Hollywood's in Ipswich to piss Anthony Tucker off because there was nothing he could do about it?
Like Chapman, including Lee, but you know, Lee wanted me back because I was good at the job, and he loved me basically, and you know, I loved working for him.
Yeah.
You know, I know you want to hear some stories about him because
yeah,
he's about out there now.
Yeah, I mean, what was Lee like to work for?
Well, I've known and worked with Lee since I was 17 years old. I started working with him at a club in Basildon called Fat Sam's.
Yeah.
I met him then, and mate, to work for, you know, he was great. If he didn't like you, you know, you're in trouble. But you know, I was one of the ones that we just get on like a house on fire, and literally, you know, the things we done back there. Just Dorman today just could not do it. You know, some of the stupid things, the laughs we had were just insane. You know, it was a great time to be involved at the doors. Yeah, you obviously had all the fights and all the grief, but you also had a huge funny side of it. The birds, the laughs we used to have. You know, and at the end of the day, I mean, some examples were, you know, if people we didn't like that, and the managers went about, as they come to the queue, like they got to the door, someone would come out with fire extinguishers and just squirt them down and stuff like this, you know, when they're all in their best gear, and they just walk away drenched and shit like that. Another thing, we all used to have ammonia squirt, we used to call it, like in jiff bottles, you know, like as a weapon to spray in people's eyes and shit. And we'd spray it down the phone, and then you see people come and pick the phone up and drop it. Like this, and there was loads of stuff, you know, and some of the managers, you know, we had problems with. A couple of them didn't like me, but Lee kept me there. Then I got suspended a couple of times, or things. It was all bollocks, but he always had me back. You know, he'd always fight me corner.
Yeah,
and that was it. But you know, he was the best to work for, and you know, obviously, like as far as Dorman go, you know, he would have to be the top of my list. Not only in physical presence, I mean, I've seen bigger men than him. I mean, there were bigger Dorman, but believe it or not, there was one Hollywoods and he was a wanker. Michael will tell you, even bigger than Lee. Now, Lee's 6'5", he was, I don't know, 25 stone. And, you know, not only was it his sheer strength, I mean, I wouldn't say that I was strong. You know, I come second in the weightlifting powerlifting competition. But, you know, when it comes to his sort of strength, then obviously I was no match. You know, an example is like, you know, he'd be doing 620s on an Olympic bar for bench press, 420s on an Olympic bar for shoulder press, you know, and I'd be trying to stand behind him on the bench to spot him. You know, it was like doing a deadlift, you know, it was dangerous really for me because it's such a huge weight. And then while we was up in Ipswich, then some karate team put on a strongman competition, and that was Lee's first attempt at doing the strongman stuff. It was Suffolk's Strongest Man competition, and what it was, Lee comes second in that competition. The fellow who won it was actually Suffolk's previous strongest man, and he had all the equipment that he practiced on anyway, so he had a bit of an advantage. And it was Lee's first go, you know, just out of the water. I come fourth. My other Dorman mate, our pal Martin Bell, comes third. I come fourth. Lee comes second. And that's that. But after that, that is what he entered. That was his sport, if you like, strongman. And he done very well at it. But, you know, he's a big man, 6'5", like I say, a huge man. Yeah. And, you know, this martial arts stuff, he's got lightning reactions. You know, at the end of the day, with him as well, I'll tell you a story. Some of my friends were professional boxers, and they used to do all this training stuff and boxing and sparring. I used to get in there occasionally. I'm not a fan, to be honest with you. I don't mind hitting, but I don't like getting hit.
Yeah.
So what it was, I got in there one day with him, with Lee, and literally he knocked me across the ring. In seconds, I said, "Mate, what are you doing?" And he just come and covered me. Went, Dave, I'm sorry, I can't go lightly. With him, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So you're in trouble if you're upset. But to work for him was fantastic. I mean, we had everyone on the take, from a receptionist to Coburn and all sorts. If we couldn't get you in the club, there were times where literally once the club was shut, we'll go hunting in the town for you. And literally, I've seen some of us have put baseball bats across other people's knees and they've broken backs and shit like that. We've gone into kebab shops and fought in there after the club, and shit like that. I've had instances where people have come past on the door and they'll give it all, wankers, and they sent me up the road, getting in the car, drive up the road to get them, and shit like that. These days you just would never get away with it, but it was great times. Me and Lee, I see him last year, and I haven't seen him for 22 years, and it was like we'd never been away. Obviously, I can ring him up now, like I can some of the others, but we all went our separate ways. But a fantastic man.
Yeah, just pick up Michael Kelly, who we shall be covering in a later video. He told me Lee was around 25 stone back then and was a martial artist. Now, did you ever see Lee kick off in action when you worked with him?
Yeah, loads of times. Yeah, we was there neck to neck. Yeah, plenty of times. Like I say, you haven't got a chance. I've seen him put down bigger people. It doesn't matter how big you are. This man is so powerful and so fast on this martial arts shit. It's that. It's as simple as that. Obviously, there's a lot of capable men, and I was quite capable myself. I'm nowhere near the hardest man. Of course not.
Yeah.
But, I was quite foresight. Obviously, if I come up against me now, I wouldn't last 2 seconds. It was a different ball game.
Yeah.
You're fitter, stronger, faster, and younger. It's as simple as that. And with me, I'd hit first, and Lee would be the same. He's not going to stand there arguing with people or talking to them too much. He will go to a certain point, but that's it. Then they're gone.
Yeah.
It's game over. Obviously, we could get away with so much there because obviously we was well in with the police. We was well in with the police, and that was it out there. Because we've assisted them in numerous ways and shit. Not informing like that at that level. Obviously, we were beating up the people who they wanted beaten up for years and couldn't do it. The ones, the real troublemakers up there. And obviously it was like that. But yeah, he was putting it to work for, great man, and that's it.
Yeah. David, I just want to ask you, how did he get the scar on his face?
Yeah, that was done by a fella, John Moody, in Southend. This geezer, I think there was a couple of these Moody brothers, and literally they were just basic problems, like football thugs or whatever they were. They were going around the area causing problems everywhere they went. John Moody, I think the fella's name was John, or that might have been the brother. Don't quote me on that. Definitely Moody. And what it was, there was something went off in a club in Southend one night, and they come behind Lee. One of them did, and opened him up with a blade, Stanley knife. What literally, I can't remember what side it was, but he cut his ear in half and comes right down there. Opened half his face right up and his ear, and obviously that got stitched up. But he had the big scar there from when I first met him, going back 1983. So he had it then. But Moody paid the price for that. I think he got stabbed in the head. They chased him, done him with a big knife in the head and stuff. So he got payback for Moody.
Yeah.
They weren't going to get away with that. But obviously, I think the scar, matched Lee's character.
Yeah.
And that, it's as simple as that. He was known for it, I don't know, it's like a trademark with some people, and that certainly was his trademark. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Anyone can come up to anyone from behind and go like that. And like Lee told me, you don't even feel it. It's like a feather running down your face. The blade's so sharp, it's so quick. That's it. It's done.
Yeah.
End on.
As most people will be aware, David, there was a Sky documentary released this year about the Essex Boys Murders. If you haven't seen it yet, it will be in the Sky Shop under the comedy section. Now, Lee Chapman was supposed to be in that documentary. Can you explain what happened?
Yeah, he did film. He filmed his actually in Colchester, and they paid a cab for him to pick him up where he lives. I won't say where he lives now, but it was quite a distance to get to Colchester, and they paid for his cab there and back, and he filmed his there. Michael Kelly and Gary Mott, two other people we know, who was actually in the documentary, filmed theirs at Prison Nightclub. And what it was, Lee done the interview with Sky, obviously the same people who filmed me that day in the hotel. And not only did he get slightly cut, he got completely cut, thrown on the floor. He wasn't in it at all. I mean, they had Gary Mott, who done a bit. You had, obviously, Michael Kelly, but they cut Lee out.
And I think this is the cheekiest bit ever. Whose nightclub did the film Gary Mott and Michael Kelly in?
Yeah, where they used to work.
And they cut him out of the TV show. That's unbelievable, is that? That is absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what? Thank you, Dave, for taking part in this video. And we will be making a part 5, which should be quite interesting. So thanks for your time, David. And until the next one, take care.
Yeah, cheers.